The Belgian Malinois is feared not because it is aggressive, but because it carries a level of discipline and intensity that feels almost unnatural in a dog. Every movement it makes shows a purpose sharpened through generations, turning instinct into something that looks like strategy. When soldiers describe working with a Malinois, they always mention its eyes first, because those eyes don't wander, they lock onto threats with a focus that intimidates even trained operatives. A Malinois doesn't just look at a problem, it studies it the way a professional analyzes a target. Speed is only part of the story, because what makes this breed terrifying is how fast it thinks while moving. It doesn't jump blindly, it calculates distance, momentum, and force with the precision of an athlete trained for combat. Its ability to read the emotional energy of a room makes it dangerous to anyone with bad intentions. People who underestimate it always say the same thing: "I didn't even see it coming." Elite units prefer the Malinois because it doesn't break under pressure, pressure wakes it up. The more chaotic the environment, the more accurate it becomes, making it one of the few animals that performs better under stress. Unlike other dogs that rely on commands, the Malinois responds to intention, sensing shifts in a handler's posture or breathing before a word is spoken. This silent communication is why soldiers trust it in missions where sound could get them killed. Its body is engineered for combat, built with a balance of muscle, speed, and flexibility that makes walls, windows, and obstacles feel irrelevant. A Malinois doesn't stop to think about a barrier, it finds a way through it or over it faster than you can react. But what truly makes it feared is how calm it stays while doing all of this. There's no panic, no hesitation, no wasted energy, just pure, surgical precision. This control is what intimidates even seasoned handlers, because they know the dog could unleash devastating force but chooses not to until the exact moment it matters. The Malinois attacks not with rage, but with intention. You can see this discipline even when it is still, because stillness for a Malinois isn't rest, it's assessment. Behind that quiet posture is a mind mapping the environment, waiting for the next instruction or threat. When it finally moves, it moves like a switch being flipped, instant, explosive, and absolute. Soldiers say the sound of a Malinois launching is something you never forget, because it feels like raw instinct meeting perfect training. Its bite is another reason it is feared, because it doesn't just latch on, it controls. The dog grips with purpose, adjusting pressure based on resistance, showing a level of self-mastery that separates it from typical working dogs. But the part most people don't understand is its emotional intelligence, because the Malinois isn't driven by blind aggression, it's driven by loyalty. It protects not because it was trained to, but because it believes in its handler. This loyalty turns the dog into a guardian that would walk through fire without being asked twice. Soldiers trust a Malinois not simply because it's skilled, but because the dog views the handler as its purpose. Every mission becomes personal to the Malinois, and that connection creates a level of commitment you cannot teach. It performs not out of obedience, but out of devotion. This emotional bond allows the dog to stay level-headed even in situations where fear would control other animals. The Malinois isn't fearless, it is brave, acting despite fear and using discipline to stay focused. This combination of heart and precision is why militaries worldwide choose the breed for their most sensitive missions. It is not just a working dog, it is an extension of the soldier's will. And when danger rises, the Malinois rises higher. Its instincts sharpen, its awareness expands, and its purpose becomes unmistakable. This is why the Malinois is feared, because it embodies a rare fusion of intelligence, intensity, control, and loyalty that transforms it into something beyond a typical guardian. It is a warrior that understands its mission as deeply as it understands its handler. The Belgian Malinois is feared because it operates at a level of intensity most humans cannot comprehend, moving through danger with the clarity of an animal whose mind was built for pressure. When a mission shifts, the Malinois shifts faster, adapting with an instinctual intelligence that leaves even trained soldiers in awe. Its focus feels almost unnatural when you watch it work, because distraction simply doesn't exist in its world. Every motion is tied to purpose, every breath tied to awareness that sharpens rather than fades under stress. Handlers often describe a moment when they realize the dog is thinking 3 steps ahead of them, not waiting for instruction but already preparing for what comes next. That's when fear turns to respect, because the Malinois is not following commands, it is partnering with the mission. Unlike ordinary working dogs, the Malinois doesn't respond to chaos by freezing or flinching. It responds by calculating, scanning the environment with a precision that makes it feel more like a trained operative than a dog. This strategic brain is why military units trust the Malinois in situations where hesitation equals death. Its ability to anticipate human intention, before the human even moves, is something science still struggles to explain. Even its silence is intimidating, Because a quiet Malinois is not uncertain. It is choosing the perfect moment to act. That stillness feels like the calm before a storm that arrives with speed and control few creatures can match. Every movement it makes in a mission comes from training layered on top of instinct, creating a mix of nature and discipline that no other breed reaches. Speed alone is impressive, but speed combined with thoughtfulness is terrifying. It sprints with the force of an athlete yet lands with the delicacy of a surgeon, never losing balance or intent. That accuracy is what breaks the confidence of suspects who try to run or fight. In tight quarters, the dog becomes living momentum, able to climb, leap, and pivot in ways that seem more like choreography than aggression. Soldiers say watching a Malinois navigate a room feels like watching instinct evolve into strategy. The supernatural part is its stamina, because it doesn't just stay focused for minutes, it stays focused for hours. Its mind doesn't blur under stress, it sharpens, allowing it to make perfect decisions in imperfect environments. While other dogs get overwhelmed by loud noises or unpredictable conditions, the Malinois learns to treat those same conditions as part of the mission. That emotional steadiness makes it one of the few animals trusted in operations too dangerous for machines and too complex for humans alone. Its fearlessness isn't blind or sloppy, it's deliberate, measured, and frighteningly intelligent. That's why criminals freeze at the sight of it. They're not just facing strength, they're facing precision. Once the Malinois identifies a threat, it doesn't just attack, it neutralizes with restraint and intention. This is why elite trainers say the dog doesn't need to be taught self-control, it carries self-control in its genetic code. And unlike other breeds that forget or forgive mistakes, the Malinois remembers everything. A tactic that works once will never work again, and that learning curve terrifies those who underestimate it. Handlers report that the dog doesn't respond to commands like most dogs, it responds to meaning. That depth of comprehension creates a sense of partnership rather than obedience. This ability to think while moving makes the Malinois one of the few dogs that can operate semi-independently without losing alignment to the mission. It doesn't need approval to act, it needs clarity and purpose. Its loyalty then forms the emotional backbone that turns skill into something more powerful. The Malinois doesn't fight because it was trained to, it fights because it believes in the bond it shares with its handler. When that bond is threatened, the dog commits with a level of conviction seen only in warriors. Its protection is not mechanical or programmed, it is personal. This emotional connection is what soldiers trust most on the field, because a Malinois will choose its partner over itself every time. That kind of devotion creates a confidence few other working animals can inspire. Where most dogs rely on commands, the Malinois relies on shared understanding, reading the handler's tone, breathing, and micro-movements like written language. That intuitive link becomes the invisible communication line that keeps teams alive. Even the way it enters a room is enough to change the atmosphere. People stop moving, conversations die instantly, and the energy shifts to attention and caution. The dog doesn't just occupy space, it commands it. Its presence alone forces people to reconsider their choices before the dog ever needs to act. This authority comes from the combination of strength, control, and unmistakable intentionally. A Malinois doesn't look erratic or angry, it looks confident, aware, and absolutely certain of what will happen if it has to move. Its strike, when needed, is devastating yet contained. It takes down opponents with speed, but it never loses control of its grip or its target. Every muscle is tuned for purpose, from the coiled power in its hind legs to the explosive launch that has become its signature. No wasted energy, no sloppy execution, just pure, refined efficiency. This physical mastery blends seamlessly with the dog's mental discipline. It has the rare ability to assess danger without panicking and engage threats without emotion clouding judgment. The result is a dog that doesn't behave like a violent creature, it behaves like a trained soldier. And that is far more intimidating than raw aggression could ever be. Its instincts, sharpened by centuries of selective breeding, create a reflexive clarity that humans envy. It sees movement before others notice it, hears tension before voices rise, and senses shifts in energy long before danger becomes visible. This pre-threat awareness is what makes the Malinois nearly impossible to ambush. It reacts not to what you do, but to what you are about to do. When combined with its unmatched agility, this anticipation becomes a weapon in itself. It moves through shadows, corners, and obstacles with a fluidity that makes it seem more like wind than muscle. And yet, despite all this intensity, the Malinois remains shockingly gentle with the people it trusts. This contrast, fierce in battle, soft in bonding, creates a depth that no other working breed matches. It is feared because it is complete. A creature of precision, loyalty, intelligence, and instinct fused into one unstoppable force. Special forces around the world rely on it not because it is violent, but because it is accurate, because it can do what no tool, weapon, or human can do as perfectly. When the mission demands the impossible, the Malinois becomes the answer. That is why this breed stands alone at the top. It is not simply a working dog, it is a strategic partner shaped for the hardest missions on Earth, feared not for its aggression but for its certainty.